Hello everyone, good evening. Today I welcome you all for the day 2 of Java Basics. So I I hope everyone has installed JDK, which is the version from above, Java 8 and above in your machine, as well as and I hope you have all installed Eclipse in your machine as well as. Then if you have all installed, I request you to kindly open it. Maybe at the end of the session, if we have time, we can work out the things that we see today. Okay. So with the common understanding that you have all installed what we discussed in the last class, I'll take you to discuss about the basic elements of Java. Okay. So come, let's all go into the topic that we are going to discuss today. So we have Java variables. So what is Java variables? A variable is nothing but a memory location that we are going to hold the data. Okay. So why data comes into play here is, so obviously if you are writing a program, you are going to deal with the data. Either you are going to store it, or you are going to do some operation on it, or whatever. If data is not involved, there is no meaning in writing a program, right? You are going to do some function, some operations. Only in that case we'll be writing a program, right? To write a program, the basic, the first step is you need a data, and if when you need a data, you have to store it in a place, and that place is called a variable. Okay, so let us say how we should write a variable. Okay, so in speed limit, this is a variable which is of integer type. So this int in front of the speed limit, this is called as data type, and the speed limit is the variable name. Okay, the name of the variable should be unique within the class that you write. Okay, within the the page, you can call it. Okay, so what is the data type? So it is nothing but what is the kind of data that you are going to store inside this variable. Okay, so you can store any, right? You can store a whole number, you can store a decimal number, you can store even a character, a string, or whatever. It depends on the user's need, right? So but Java doesn't know what it is going to get stored. So in order to tell Java that this is the type of data that I will be storing, so please expect and allocate some space for to hold this kind of data. That is what we are trying to tell by declaring the variable. Okay, so as you can see in the first snippet, I have given the variable as int speed limit, and speed limit is equal to 80. Okay, so in first line I have just declared the variable, and the second line, by telling speed limit is equal to 80, I am assigning the variable 80 into this speed limit. Okay, you can do this by first line declaration and next by assigning, or you can do the both in the same line. Okay, it depends upon how you need to write it in the program. Okay, so both is same. And if you are going to give the variable name as like this, speed and speed limit with L as capital letter, then if you want to access this now particular variable, then you have to call it in the CM format. As you know, Java is statically typed, which means that it is case sensitive. So however how you are declaring it, you have to, when in the place of using it, you have to call it in the same way. Okay, so next we'll see rules of naming variables in Java. So as I have told you, Java is case sensitive. So of course the variables in Java is also case sensitive. So next, what are the uh, characters, or what are the things that is how to tell you, which is allowed to use in a variable name is, you can use letters, digits, which means numbers, as well as the special characters like dollar or underscore. You can use these in a while you are writing a variable name. However, the beginning of the first letter of the variable, the name of the variable should start with a letter. Okay. And next is the variable name cannot contain any space. For example, you cannot give, if you have, uh, let us say, take the same example, speed limit. You cannot give space between speed, space limit. You cannot assign that way a variable. Okay, you have to give it as a single word. And the next important thing is please choose a meaningful variable name. Okay, so if you are going to write any, for example, you are giving some going to write some program to create a mark list, or a rank list for your class, then in that case you need to get all the subject marks to calculate the total, right? So in that case, if you're going to get any 5 or 6 subjects you have, then give the the subject name as the variable. So in that case we know that, okay, this, you know uh, with the name of the variable itself you will understand, okay, the mark of this subject is going to get stored into this variable. Okay, so that way it will be easy for you when you read the program, or if you are going to share it with others. So next is, yes, if you are going to combine two words, then the first word should be fully completely in the lowercase, and the second word beginning should be in the uppercase. Okay, this is called as naming in the camel case. Okay, you have upper camel case, lower camel case, and you have different type of giving writing the letters. So this is called as camel case. So the main thing that you have to keep in your mind is give a meaningful variable name, and you cannot give any space. And if you want to access any variable that you have already declared, then it has to be in the same format. There should not be any change in the case between. Okay, wherever you have given the lowercase and uppercase, it has to be the same way when you are going to use it. Okay. So next is the primitive data types. So Java has given us some predefined data types. Okay, there are 8 predefined data types that is given by Java to us to use. So let us see what are they: Boolean, byte, short, int, long, double, float, char. So what what are they used for? We can see. Okay. So boolean is used in front of any variable, then that variable can store only um, true or false. Okay. So next is the byte. So next is the byte. So byte, if you have given any variable with the data type byte, then that variable can store only value from minus 128 to plus 127. Okay. And if you are going to give any number with a data type of short, then that number can have hold the values from minus 32,768 to 32,767. Okay, so it is nothing but 2 to the power of some value. Okay, sorry, I didn't calculate what is it that what is, I hope it is 2 to the power 16, I guess, but I'm not sure. Okay, so next is the, so int is something little greater than short, and long is something greater than int, and double is also something greater than long. Okay, but what is difference between double is double can also hold the decimal values. So the values you can store, the floating point numbers, right? If you want to give like 15.05, you can use double. Not just double, float will also accept 0 point, the points, the decimals. Okay. So next comes the character. So char is the data type which will take a single character as input. So whenever you are giving a variable with the data type char, then it can take a single letter as input. So let us see example for these. Okay. If you have your Eclipse installed, I request you all to open it. Just will just type one variable, and we'll try to uh, print it and see like what are the inputs that it can take. Yes. Okay. So that you'll have a better idea. Okay. So yes, I have already written a program. So yesterday we have written one Hello World program, right? If you have that program, you can open, or else if you want to create a new project also, you can open. So for those who has forgot how to create a program, I'll just tell you quick. You can create one. Go to File, New. If you have Java project readily available here, you can click on it. If not, click on Project. Here in below, you will have Java like this, and if you click the the arrow mark, you will have Java project inside. So click on it. Click Next. You can give some whatever the name you want, and then if you give some name, you will have next finish here. You can click on Finish. Then once you click on Finish, you will have a project created on left hand side in your package explorer. Okay, I think you are able to follow. So the next what you have to do is, once your project is ready, click on your project name, right click, click New, and here you will find class. So click on it, give a name and finish. Okay. If in case you want, this is the class that you are going to run the program. Here you have options like public static void main, constructor, superclass, inherited abstracts, generate comments. So when you give any, if you check on this checkbox, automatically your class, and inside an empty main class, public static void main, your program starting point, the starter method will be automatically available when you click finish. Okay. So first, let me just print it now. So yes, so in first line I have just declared one boolean variable, and I have given the value as false, and I'm trying to print the value, and you have false. Let us say I have declared it as boolean and I'm trying to give value as some 1. So what is 1? 1 is an integer, right? It is a number. Let us not say integer, it is a number. So obviously it is not the type of boolean. As I have told you, the boolean will take only true or false. So automatically your IDE is telling you error. Okay. So if your IDE is telling an error, what it means? It is just compiling. Okay. When each and every time that you enter, your IDE itself is compiling your program. Okay. That is why you get an error here. So I have given false here. So next is the byte. So byte, as I have told you, it is from some minus 128 to plus 127, right? So given here, let us try adding some, the bigger number. Okay, as you can see, it cannot hold this number. Okay, nothing higher than plus 127. Okay, so this thing. So we have short the temperature here. So the short value goes from some 32, right? Yes, 32 767. So it can hold that much amount of data. So let us check it and changing the value into 2000. So even now I don't face an error because it will take some data, sorry, it will take some value till 32,000 plus, right? So I have changed the value and data as printed. So let us change the value into 2 lakhs, one more zero. So obviously we are getting an error. Okay. So the reason why we have different type of data is to hold, every digit, the variable will take some memory. Okay. So if you know the type of data, already before coding, you can give according to it to save space, and it is more clean code, right? You know everything, you tell the Java, so the program will also run efficiently. Okay. So next comes our int. So int is like go to data type. So to be on the safer side, usually people will declare int everywhere. So I will not tell it is a bad practice, because commonly if you're writing some code for if you're dealing with data science, or if you're dealing with some consumer data, or if you're dealing with uh, some numbers with bigger input is going to come. So day to day life, if you're writing a program, if you're going to a corporate and if you're going to write a program, obviously you're not going to deal with some one digit or two or two. It is not going to be three or four digit data, it is going to be long. Okay. So in that case, people will normally you'll see, you'll come across int more. Okay. So if it is not int, you will see double. Okay. So next, long will also be used in only particular cases. Okay. So if you are going to do some scientific calculations or scientific research programs, in that case you will see long also. Okay. So because if you give long double, in that case your answers will be so accurate, since it can take very very long values, right? So next comes a long. While giving long, you have to declare the number and L at the last. Okay. If you don't give L, then program will not know it is some you know uh, this variable can, it will not know it is an long data. Okay. So you have to give L at the end, and double, as I have told you, it will also take the uh, decimal, but you don't need to give any d or any you know anything at the suffix. Okay. But in case of float, you have to give small f, lowercase f as the suffix to it. Okay. These are all the syntaxes. Okay. This is how you have to give it. If not, it will throw an error, the program will throw an error. Okay. Sorry. So next is the char. We have seen a data type char, right? So I'm trying to declare a variable letter with the data type char, and I'm assigning t, a single letter, to the variable letter. Okay. So as I have told you, if you want to um, if you are giving any variable with the data type char, then you can give only single letter. You cannot give any string. You cannot give a word. Okay. String is nothing but the collection of characters, but you cannot assign a string into it. You can, which means like you cannot assign a word here. Okay. If you try adding some extra letters, it will throw an error. Okay. It can hold only single letter. Okay. It can either be caps or small, it doesn't matter. You can even give any numbers to it. Okay. Which means the any single value, it has to within the single quote. Okay. Within the quotes, then it is considered as character. Okay. So next, if in case these are from boolean till float, these are, sorry, till char, these are the primitive data types. So in case if you want to deal with uh, you know uh, a word, if you want to store a word into your variable, then what you have to do, you have to call the class string. This is also a predefined class available in Java, just string with S capital. Please remember that um Java is case sensitive. So if it is boolean, it has to be given as b in small letter. Okay. So if it is small, in it is given here, it has to be lowercase. Okay. So give the string class string, and then this is the variable name again, and Java 8 in between the quotes, and I'm trying to print it. So obviously you will get the value as Java 8. So whatever the value that you give here, you will be getting it here. You'll be printing it in the console. Understood? So that's it for this program. We will go in to the next topic. So next we have Java operators. So we have seen the Java variables. So after seeing variable, we have to perform some operations over the variables, right? For that, we have some operators available in Java. So first will be the assignment operator. Assignment operator is nothing but the mathematical equals operator. So it is the same way how we use it in the mathematics. So if you are declaring any variable, and that variable is equal to 5, means you are assigning this value 5 into this variable. Okay. So next is the arithmetic operators. So the normal arithmetic operators, your plus, minus, multiplication, that is the asterisk symbol, the division and the modulus. So it does the same operations how to do in your day to day mathematics. So addition will to add two numbers. So minus will be subtracting two numbers. Multiplication, it will multiply the two numbers. Division and modulus will be when you divide. In the division you will be getting the quotient, right? And when you use modulus, you will be getting the remainder. Okay, that is the difference between the division and the modulus symbol, the percentage symbol. Understood? So next you have unary operators. So this is something new that we are seeing in Java. So unary operator has unary plus, unary minus, the single, the first, this plus and minus, that is what I'm telling, unary plus and unary minus. And next is the plus plus, the increment operator, and this is minus minus. Actually, space is taken because of my, the format. This is actually minus minus, to show you I have given space between it, but it has to be continuous, no space. Okay. So in case if I have changed the font, it might have been a better understanding for you. Okay. Like how we have a plus followed by the other plus, we'll have the minus followed by the other minus, and the exclamatory mark. Okay. This is the not operator. So what all these things will do is, the unary plus will do nothing but, normally the numbers will be positive. Even if it is negative, if you are going to give plus in front of it, it is going to be negative. So uh, typically, to tell unary plus does nothing. Even if you add it, it is going to do nothing. And minus is, it will convert, if it is added in front of a positive number, that number will get converted into negative. And plus plus, minus minus, this is where you have to concentrate. Okay, this is something new. So what plus plus does? So plus plus will increment the value of a variable. Okay, you can use plus plus either in front of a variable or at the suffix as well. So when you add in front, it will work differently, and if you add it at behind of a variable, it will function differently. So what it does is, if you're I'm defining a number like int, my int is equal to 5, and I'm going to increment it, okay, plus plus my int, and I'm going to consider I have given a print, okay, statement. So what it does is, this plus plus, since the initial value is 5, it will increment the value to 6, okay, so by 1, okay, the increment in the sense it will be incrementing it by 1. So it will increment it by 6 and it will print 6. So next what it will do is, so the next line, if you are giving your value behind this increment operator behind your variable is, uh, we will trigger the print, the print statement, and the value that is already assigned, that is 5, will be printed. After printing, the value will get incremented. Understand? So if it is a next cycle, you are going to printing it again, you will get 6. Okay. So that is what, it will plus plus in front of a variable will increment the variable and will perform the operation. If it is behind the variable, the operation will be performed and the value will be incremented. So the same for minus minus. So if it is given in front, the value will be decremented first and it will print. See, the value is 5, so it will decrement it and it will print 4. If in case it is minus minus, first it will print. In the next cycle, the value will be decremented. Okay. So next will be the equality and relational operator. So it is nothing but what we use, to check if two numbers are equal, not equal, okay, and greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. It is the same what we check in maths. So it is nothing but the way you represent in Java, the code is different. Okay. So how you will check, not equals, you will be striking it, striking the equal sign, right? So instead of that, you have the not operator, the, here we saw, right, this exclamatory. So exclamatory will check not, it will just, change, if it is positive, it will change to negative. It is like, if it is, for example, you are applying this not in front of a boolean. I'm telling you boolean because it is easy to understand. So if it is going to be true, it will change it into false. If it is false, it is going to change into true. Okay. So that is what not equal to, which means you are checking if two number, this operation is used to check if two numbers are equal or not equal. So the same, less than or greater than, less than or equal to, greater than equal to. So the same in the mathematical signature. Okay. So next is the logical operator. So logical operator is same that we do in, you have, this logical or and, right, might be, if you are college students, you will be learning this as well in your electronics, right, and gate or gate or something like that. So it does the same. Okay. So conditional or logical or will be like, if any one of the input that you are going to give is true, then your value will be true. And operator is like how, if two variables you are going to check, if both are true, only in that case the result will be true. Okay. So ternary operator will be, like, excuse me, அம்மா கொஞ்சம் மெதுவாமா. Yeah. So the ternary operator, so the you can learn, you can just, try to understand it. If you don't understand, that is not an issue. For basic for the basics of Java, if you're clear with until logical operators, that is enough. I'll just introduce you that you have one more operator called ternary operator. So ternary operator has the syntax of this question mark and uh, this colon. Okay, so what you have is the variable, and you will have an expression to check. Okay, for example, consider you have a is equal to b. You have whatever is stored in a. Okay, a let us say it is 5 and b is equal to 10. Okay, you are checking an expression if it is a equal to 10. Okay, so what it does is, if it is question mark, okay, if a is equal to b, if it is true, the expression after this question mark will execute. Okay, like print, you can have any expression here. Okay, let us say we have some value as true here. Okay, and if not, if this is going to be false, of course a is not equal to b, right? So when the value returns false, sorry, if the condition fails, then the expression after this colon will get assigned to this variable. Okay, so this is what this ternary operator is used for. Let us see one example for it, maybe you will understand that. So for the assignment operator, nothing but I have given number 1 is equal to 5 and number 2 is equal to number 1. Okay, I'm assigning 5 to number 1, and as I'm assigning this number 1 to number 1 to the variable number 2, which means nothing but the 5 will be stored in number 1 as well as number 2. Okay, let us run this. Okay, so it is printed twice. Even if you give 1 also, it will be 5. If it is 2 also, it is the same. Okay, just I have given this example, like you don't need always to give any any number or something to the variable. You can also assign this variable into the other variable. Okay, that is also possible. So next is nothing but our normal arithmetic operation. Okay, so since I'm taking the uh, decimal values, I have given this as double. Like if I need, I can also declare this value as float. That is not an issue. Okay, so this is what we get. Nothing but 12.5 plus 3.5, the addition result, and next the subtraction, next followed by the multiplication. Then we have this the division, the quotient of the division, the quotient will be available in the result for the division, and with the modulus we have the remainder value. Okay, I hope you are following. Like if you're not able to try execute all these code now, just try addition alone. Okay, not an issue. If you try at least one operator, that is fine. You will know. Sometimes like it will feel okay when you see my screen. Sometimes when you put your hand and when we really start coding, you will have some difficulties. So please at least try one or two operators so that you will have a good understanding. Okay, not in the operator, just in coding wise you will have a good understanding. Okay, so next we are going to see the unary operators. So in unary operators we have this unary number just 5.2 and the result to store our result, and we have an boolean. Okay, so what we are going to do is um, so let me first introduce this plus here. So whenever you want to bind your how to tell, okay, if you are going to print any statement, this whatever the value that you are giving inside this double quotes, it's going to be string. Whatever you give inside this, you will be getting it in the um, you'll be getting it in the console. So first this plus unary number is equal to, okay, this is what we are giving inside the quote. Okay, so next this plus is helpful to concatenate. Okay, concatenation is nothing but we are just how to tell, combining these two strings. Okay, so we are adding this output, the value of the output, the unary number. This unary number is a variable, so I want to print it here. So if I give just if I give the unary number, it will not print, it will throw some error for us. Okay, now it will not throw because this unary plus, it is taking it as the operator to concatenation. Okay, so if I take both the plus, maybe it is better if I explain you with the mind this symbol here. Okay, let us say I remove this plus, the concatenation plus, and so the Java will throw error. Let us see what it shows. This operator minus is undefined for the argument type string and double. Okay, I want to combine this number, I mean, like, I want to merge this two number and I have to print. So I'm just giving this concatenation operator and I'm going to print the values. Okay, so concatenation is the word that you will be you would have, if you're familiar with Excel, we use the same word in Excel also, right, to combine two cells. So that is the word I'm using here as well, concatenate. If in case of numbers, adding two numbers, we say it as addition. When it comes into string or some other data type, it comes as concatenation. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm trying to give one unary plus in front of this 5.2, so it does nothing. Okay, since it is already a positive number, we are getting a positive number again, and I'm adding minus in front of a positive number, and it has changed into a negative number, right? And I have added one more this what is it, increment operator here. So the value gets incremented to 6.2. As I have told you, first it will get incremented and then it will get printed. So the value is incremented and it is printed as 5.2. So now the value of the unary number is 5.2. Okay, so I'm trying to apply the minus minus, which means decrement operator. So automatically the value gets decremented by 1 and we get 5.2 here. Okay, and next is the not operator. So the flag value is boolean, so it is false. So I am giving not, this operator, not operator in front of flag, and I'm getting the true. It is changed. If in case I have given true over there, and it will, ulta, I mean, like, it will convert it into the other way. It will convert it into negative. It is false, and the false will get printed. Okay, to show this example, I'll just, instead of adding decrement operator in front, I have just changed it here. So here we have already incremented the value as 6.2, and I'm adding the decrement operator at next to the what is it unary number, which means, so what value should be printed here? If you have guessed it is 6.2, yes, right. If you have guessed it as 5.2, sorry. So it is nothing but the placement of this unary operator in front and back of the variable changes changes the operation that it performs. Okay, hope it is clear. So next, let us see the relational operator. So here in relational operator, what I have done is I have given a number one value as 5 and number 2 as 6, and one boolean variable to check. Obviously, if you are going to check any relational operator, the value will be boolean. If it is going to say it is true or false. So for the result, I am giving one boolean data type. So here I am going to check if number 1 is equal to 5 or number 2 equal to 5. Okay, so do you remember what this OR operator will do? You remember? So if either any one of the expression is true, it will pass true, right? So here number 1 is equal to 5. It is true, right? So we will be getting the value as the result as true. Okay, consider I am just changing this OR operator into AND operator. What happens? Get false. The reason is, if it is going to be logical AND, then it returns true only if both the condition returns true. Okay, so as we all know, what this double equal to means is, if you give double equal to, the equality check will happen. It will check the left hand side is equal to right hand side. Okay, which means the number 1 is equal to number 5. It will check. If in case you are going to give single equal to, it means it is assignment operator, right? Then this operation, like the 5 value will get assigned to number 1. Okay, that is assignment. If you are going to give only 1 equal to, that is assignment. Okay, so if you need to check if it is equal or not equal to, then you have to use double equal sign. If it is not equal to, you have to give this not equal to sign, not, and then the equals. Understood? So it is very simple. I'm just if I just show you the the operators in PPT, in some cases you might not understand like how you have to use it. So I'm showing each and everything with a small example. It is nothing but the first standard or second standard student example. Okay, so next, yes, next we'll see the basic input output. So uh, so whatever, if the data has to flow inside a system, we need a stream to get it and to print it. Okay, so that is what the basic input output means in Java. So first let us see the output. Okay, so because why I'm taking the output first is, we have seen this from day one in our program. Okay, we are printing the system.out.println, right? So what this out means is, uh, typically it is showing the output to the user, right? So it is not taking the value inside, it is mainly used to display the output. So here what system is a class. Okay, out is a public field. Okay, Public static field, it means it is a variable. Okay, to better, I'll tell you, I'll just show you here. So here, so when I give press control and take your mouse near this system, if you have opened your Eclipse, so when you click on it, it opens to a system class. So this is a predefined class available in Java for us, okay, which will take input output operations. Okay, so here we have input stream, print stream. Okay, so whenever you are printing, right, if it is if you are going to print something, obviously it is an output. Okay, so this is a class, and next is the out. Okay, out is the it is one variable, okay, of type. Okay, for now, let me not confuse you. So out is an variable in the class, a system class, and it has some some properties. You can assume it for day two. Just assume these are some public static final. These are some properties for this variable. Okay, and you can consider this as a type. Okay, this is also a class, but for today's understanding, you can relate it to a type. Okay, so this is a simple example for output. And println. Okay, this is the method. Okay, this is the output method. Okay, so whatever you give inside this method, if we are giving this my string, then internally what it does is, here that my my string get passed here. Okay, and it gets some process that is defined inside this method. So we will see all these method and other things later. So I'm just giving you an introduction for what is what, just so you should know, right, how we are getting input and output. So next is Java input. So Java input can be given in different ways. Okay, so we'll call some APIs to get some input from other database. Many ways we get, and I'll show you a simple a normal example is scanner in. Okay, I'll show one example, like, so what to access this input class, what you have to do is you have to import scanner. Okay, so what is scanner? So scanner is, again, it is a class that is available in Java. So if you want to, sorry, I have closed. So you have to use it inside a class, then you need to import that inside the class. Okay, if I remove this import, you will get error over here. Okay, so I'll just add it. So you are calling the class name the scanner, and then the input, it is a whatever the object you call it. We'll call this as an object. We'll create an object for the class, and then new scanner, it is an creating a constructor. Okay, so and then we are passing one uh, parameter or an argument inside the constructor. Okay, so by doing this, what it will say is, like, this this input is an object. It is creating it is like it is taking one clone, or this object is type of scanner. Okay, we have one class, so it will accept one input. Okay, so what it does is enter an integer. So it will, so in the first line with the system.out.print, we are showing the user, we are displaying the user like enter an integer. So in the next line, we are declaring one variable and we are getting some input. So input dot next in. Next in means this is a method, it is a method which is available inside the scanner class, like what we have seen for this println. So what println does is it will print whatever we ask, we are telling to print it, and next in will take whatever the user type. Let us say I have typed 1 and I give enter. So it will take this 1 as my input and it will automatically assign to this number, and we are printing it here. Okay, it may look difficult for you now, like by end of the class, after we learn what is class, what is object, what is method, and then if you come back again and see this scanner, it will be easy for you. Okay, if you don't understand now, please don't worry. I'm just showing you, like it is not always you have to give value, assign all values inside your program. You can also get it from the user. Okay, at the runtime also you can get. So I'm just showing you a difference. Okay, and here input dot close, it means that we have created one object here and we are closing it. So even if you don't add this line, your program is going to run, but it is a good practice to close an object. Okay, so this will have this is a good practice because this will if you don't have this practice, and in assume in a larger, in a wider view, if your objects are not closed properly, you will have some memory leakage, out of memory exceptions. You have many, uh, many, how to tell you, many exception and errors in your program, and your program will go inconsistent. Your application will go down. Okay, so by having this small practices, you can avoid major accidents like your application failure or something like that. Okay, so coming to next. Okay, so let us see what are we have seen Java program. So here, like parts of our body, like what we learn in our very small age, 1 or 2, like we have some parts in Java program. So what we call them. So first is Java expression. So Java expression is nothing but your variables, operators, literals, and method calls. Okay, so you are declaring one int score, then in integer declaration, sorry, variable declaration, then it is an Java expression. If you are assigning some value into your variable, then that is also a Java expression. And if you are calculating some something, you are performing some operation with the variables already declared and you are assigning into an result, that is also an Java expression. So whatever you write in your code, simply it is a Java expression. So next is the Java statement. So what is given in Java? Java statement is a complete unit of execution. So what it means? So int score is equal to 9 into 5. Okay, so what it does is, if you give this line simply, 9 and 5 get multiplied and the result will get stored in score. So an entire operation is done without it has no dependency with any other expression or any block. Okay, any other line, this single line will execute, it will execute it, it will perform some execution and you will have a result. Okay, so you can ask me, so why I have given this result is equal to a plus b minus 3.4 in expression, and this in the statement. So as you can see, result is equal to a plus b. So the value of a and b we have to depend on the previous line or somewhere, okay, or somewhere this a and b value you have to depend on somewhere we are the user or the program, not in the same line, somewhere else the value should be get assigned, only then the operation can perform. So this line alone, it is not by standalone, it is not executable. Okay, you understand the difference? So Java expression, Java statement. Next comes the Java block. So Java block is nothing but, so whatever the code that goes inside two curly braces, then you call it as a block. Okay. So for example, we have one class, that is assignment operator, and we have an open curly braces and the close curly braces, right? So we call this as a class block or assignment operator block. Okay, this is a block, and inside that you have an public static void main, and we have a curly braces and a open curly and close curly braces. So whatever the code go, we can have any code, right? We can just simply have a print statement, or we can have a bigger calculation, whatever. So this is the main block. Okay, understood? So this enclosed curly braces, right? So this we call it as a block. So next is the comments. So usually the comment, when you write a program with comments, your Java compiler will ignore the comments. It will not be compiled, or it will not be available in your class file. Okay, but the Java comments are needed in cases. For example, when you have to tell the other person or the other user, like, this is the reason why you have modified this code, or you have to keep track, like, for this issue I have modified, or in which version you have modified, or before any method or class you have to give a small description, like what this class is used for. Okay, it can be anything. Okay, it is just to give a basic understanding and a deeper knowledge for you or for any other person. It is just like a hint. Okay, so you have two types: single line comment and multi-line comment. In single line comment, you just have to add two slashes and whatever the text, and for multi-line comment you have to give a slash, star, and for any other second line you have to add a star in front of it, and then you have to end it like this. Okay, so next we have Java flows. So Java flow is nothing but, okay, how the execution takes place. Okay, so first we'll be seeing if statement. For example, first we are giving some integer, so we have test as 5. Okay, so I have to perform some operation, like if the value is less than 10, then I have to perform some work, and if it is greater than 10, I don't want to do the code. Okay, so what it does is, first uh, the user is giving the value for this test variable as 5, and then we are this if statement syntax will be if open curly braces, the condition that you need to check, the relational operator, the conditional operators we saw, right? Do you remember? So you can add anything, less than or less than or equal to, or you have to you can check test is equal to or not equal. So whatever the check you need to do, you can do. Okay, so here for it we have taken if test is less than 10, so of course yes, it is less than 10, and if it is true, if the condition is satisfied, it will execute the code inside this block, if block. Okay, do you remember the name block? the nomenclature that we learned just now, Java blocks, right? So this is an if block. So whatever the code inside this block, it will execute. If in case, if it fails, this block get skipped, and whatever the code is available after this if condition, it will execute. Okay. So next we have if else. So this is also same like what we learned in if. So here we have only one condition. So if I want to test something, okay, if it is less than 10, if in case it is greater than, here I have only two cases, if it is less than 10 or greater than 10. For example, let us say I have to split the condition into three. If it is less than 10, I have to do something. If it is greater than 10 and less than 15, I have to do something, or some, you have a condition, the percentage, right? If the student is above 90 percentage, they will go in some S grade. If a student is, above 60 to 65 percentage, sorry, 80 to 85 to 90 percentage, they will go in B grade. So you have multiple checks, right? You have to do. In that condition, what you can do is, that is where if else comes into play. Okay. So here let us say, you have to, just let us take an example of pass fail. So we have only two. So in this expression you can check, if the marks greater than or equal to 50, then in the code you can just print system.out.println pass, right? If not, if it is not greater than or equal to 50, obviously it is going to be less than 50. If it is less than 50, what it means? It is fail. So that code will go inside this else. Okay, this is the syntax of if else statement. So if open curly braces, whatever the condition that you need to check, it will go inside this bracket. Then whatever the action that needs to perform, if the expression is true, that code will go here. And else is like, if this condition fail, what should happen will go inside the else block. So next is the if else if. This is how, this is called as if else ladder. So you know what is ladder, right? You have steps. You have multiple steps, right? So that kind of multiple conditions you can check here. This is the, example I have given now. So based on the percentage, the students will be given different grades, right? So for example, if the percentage greater than 90, the student or the candidate gets A grade or A plus, whatever. So next is else if the grade falls between, okay, 85 to 90. Okay, so in that case, the students goes into B grade. So else if that condition is also not true. Let us say if it comes for, uh, what next, 85 to, sorry, 80 to 85, then goes to C grade. So likewise you can add if else condition. Okay, and then we come till the 50 percentage. Okay, so if anyone below 50 percentage, then they have to reappear for exam. So no, none of the condition that you are going to tell is satisfied. So you are giving a default else case. If nothing is satisfied, okay, this is the result that you will go in the else case. Okay, this is the syntax. You have to give space between else and if. So if you are going to give else if, you need to add an expression. If it is just else, you don't need to check any expression, and this code will get execute when in none of the condition prior to is none of the condition is satisfied. Okay, then the else block will execute. So next you have the switch statement. So switch statement is nothing but when you have many, if else if else ladder, if you have many conditions to check, uh, it will get difficult for you. Okay, so in that case we have one more option called uh, switch statement. So in switch statement, what it will do is you can pass the variable or expression that needs to be checked inside this switch, and whatever the result, right? For example, let us say I'm passing some, just for example I'm passing 1. I want to check 7 cases, like I have to print based on the number, I have to print the uh, you know the day of the week. If it is 1, I have to print Sunday. If it is 2, I have to print Monday. Okay, whatever. So let us say the variable that I give here, the 1 will go will pass here, so it will check case. If value 1, in that case, uh, this code, the code below this case will print. If in case 2, the code here it will print, and we also have the default case. Default case is nothing but it is something like else. Okay, so we'll see for this if else ladder and switch. We'll see an example. So I have given an integer as 10, and in the if condition I'm checking this no system.out.println, the number is positive. Okay, obviously the 10 is positive. Let us see what is the result that we get. So we get, why do we get the number is not positive? Okay, so what I have checked is number less than 0, but I have given the value as 10, so obviously uh, I have to check number is greater than 0. So now I have checked number is greater than 0. Yes, it is true. So the value inside this if block is printed. So in the earlier case, the condition was not true. Okay, let us say I have given minus 10 here. Okay, so I am checking whether the value is greater than 0 or not. Okay, so the value is not greater than 0, so obviously the number is not positive, and this system.out.println is executed based on it does not depend upon any if or else condition. So once the condition get executed, so based on the result, the condition get executed, this line will automatically, every time it will get printed. It does not depend on if or else condition. Okay, so next is the if else ladder. Okay, so I'm giving the number is equal to 0, and I'm checking if the number is greater than 0. So obviously the number is not greater than 0. So what it will do is it will check the next else if number less than 0. It will check no, the number is also not less than 0. It is not negative, right? So what it will do is both if condition is also not satisfied, else if condition is also not satisfied. So automatically it will go and print whatever the uh, you know uh, a block that is available inside the else block. So obviously inside else what I have given, the number is 0. So that is why the number is 0. This is got printed. Understood? If in case I am checking greater than equal to 0, in this case this if condition is true, right? So this will get executed and this block get printed. So if any one of the condition, if is true, if it is If the if condition is satisfied, this else if and else will not even execute. Okay, in case if gets failure, only then this else if will execute. If suppose else if got success, okay, if the condition is satisfied here, then the else block will not get executed. Okay, so next comes the switch example. So yes, see here. So I am giving the uh, for initially I will give the value as 5. Okay, so in switch I'm checking the week. Okay, so in the week, the value of week will pass here. So case 1. So if the value that pass here is 1 and the case is equal to, if both gets equal, then this the day, the value of day will be assigned with Sunday. Okay, so since I'm passing 5 here, what should happen is, so here it will get the condition will get true in the case 5, and the day value will be assigned with Thursday, and then we will print, let us see what we get. Yes, I have told you, right? So the value Thursday will get assigned to this day, and then in the print dot out dot println, sorry, system dot out dot println, you will get printed the day and it is Thursday. Okay. Likewise, based on any number that you give, the days it will change. Days it will change in the sense, if you have given it here, it will change. Provided you have to give here. If you did not give here, it will not change. Okay. What will happen is, if in case I have not given this 7, I'm just commenting these 3 lines. So let us execute it again. See what happened. The day is empty. Okay, empty in the sense, because here if it is no if it is 6, like if it is 1, we have given Sunday, Monday, Tuesday till Friday respectively. If any other value than this 1 to 6 comes, then what will happen is this default case will get executed. So in default case, what we are doing for the day, we are not at all adding or not at all assigning any value. Okay, so so that is why when we are concatenating this variable, we are not getting any value. For example, let us say no weekday. Okay, so what happens, this day is no weekday. So whatever I have the value that I uh, assigning to day in the default, if in case I'm not giving any number or any cases that is going to match my switch case, then the default will get executed automatically. I understand. So let us stop the class today with this. You can try this, it is not an issue if you are not trying this variable operators, but I request you to try this if else ladder and switch at least, so that you will have some understanding over how the conditions work, and it will help you. You yourself can come up with any scenarios, and you can check and you can work. Okay. Thank you.